people. He was totally
Yes, they are.
understanding. Placed a
Yeah.
veteran there who went from being homeless at the homeless shelter up the road to having housing, and did that within a few months just from the help of our program. And that makes you feel good when you can do that, when you can change other people's lives.
Hey,
And
Bruce,
yeah,
can you expand a little bit on the work you were doing with the veterans before we furloughed? Now, this is eye-poppingly. He made some serious connections with some resource providers. Can you just expand a little bit on that?
yeah, it well, incidentally, it ended up with two veterans that became participants in the program. But aside from that, that led me to contacts with Brad Bean, who works at the Career Center as a veterans representative for Voc Rehab, and that led to opening some more doors, and gave me the confidence to go down to Togus. I went down to Togus and met with the volunteer coordinator. He was excited about it. He forwarded it to his supervisor. His supervisor was excited about it. And then all the stuff happened, and they cut like all that funding from the VA. And while it wasn't going to cost them anything to bring in a volunteer, they weren't sure how it was gonna shake out. That ultimately affected many host agencies and potential ones that I talked to, because they either lost grants or weren't sure if they would. They really weren't willing to take on anybody, and so
Until they
like
knew.
everything was starting to shut down. And I'm assuming even now it's probably difficult, for some, we see cuts happening every day. And
Yep.
but I walked out of there so excited. I'm like, I opened up Togus. I was like, there were so many volunteer opportunities for veterans there. We also set up a meeting with Autumn Main, who works for
That's what I was talking about, that one.
Volunteers
Yep.
of America. We had a joint teams meeting, and plus we had an in-person meeting down at Cabin in the Woods in Chelsea, down by Togus.
which
And so we
which
were gonna.
helps homeless veterans
Right, and
also.
Brad went with me and set up the meeting with Autumn to open that place up, because she was hoping to do an end run because they were already in Togus. So if I put a volunteer in through her organization, she could funnel them over to Togus, because
He
they were still active over there and we weren't. And all of this was in process prior to that. And Brad and I had set up some meetings, some veterans
I'm so
meetings,
proud of him.
where we were going to talk about different veterans needs and how A4TD and other organizations could help. And he
Isn't
and I
that
put
cool?
this together, and it's going to be a bi-monthly meeting. And the first one was the Tuesday after we got laid off, and I had forwarded it to Margot. She showed up for a few minutes, but I decided, to hell with it. I mean, I was supposed to be at this meeting. I don't know what's happening with A4TD, but why should I drop this
That's
right
right.
now? Because
That's right.
in turn, my contact with Brad, he's trying to schedule a visit with me over at Riverview. So, and I'm not even a veteran. So,
This is for
so
job placement,
You just
Bruce.
for job placement.
Look at this
So,
man.
and
Isn't it
I've
Bruce,
made
incredible?
lots
you
of
did.
contacts. I went to the governor's seventh annual opioid summit. I got an invite to that. And that was a whole big thing down at the Augusta Career Center. There were vendors outside that had booths. I made contacts there. A lot of them I already had. I made contact with, in the meeting with Brad, made a contact with Bruce Nodden, who's the pre-release coordinator for the main corrections, all the main corrections.
Oh, wow.
And
Uh-huh.
and that only came up because I mentioned at some point in that meeting that Margot was at in the beginning that I was in recovery. Well, he's in recovery. And so he asked after that, before that meeting ended, he said, "Hey, can you stay after for a few minutes?" We ended up talking for 50 minutes. So now he wants a copy of my resume and a cover letter. And he referred me to some other people who also work in corrections. So I'm making contacts there. I also made contacts with one of the speakers down at at the opioid summit at one of the meetings because I have a legal issue that can be a hindrance to what I'm trying to do, and he's like, you should see I have stuff I have, you know, and he goes, and I'm working in the hospitals and I'm working, so I've got to get back in contact with him, but he's going to
Yes, you
help me
do.
work through some of that,
Mhm.
Yes, you do.
so I've got lots of contacts, and of course, I've got contacts with Area Agency on Aging in a couple of different
Mhm.
areas, and I've got contacts with KV and all this too, both through work and personally. So, lo and behold, I was networking without knowing I was networking. So,
You haven't just made contacts. You've built a
Uh-uh.
community. You've built a
well, I know
community of
people, and
support
a
for
lot of the
veterans.
people that I took those CCAR classes, the recovery coach classes with, which were, the first one was like 8 hours. The second one was second couple were 16 hours apiece. It's like these were long. A lot of those people I know, they're from around here. One of them that was in the class, Jackie, works over at the ranch
Yep.
over in Hinckley and
Yep.
stuff. And she's also, well, I can't say, but she's in another program that I'm in. Um, I can't break her anonymity. Well, it's just Jackie. So if she's in AA, you don't know what Jackie is, so it doesn't matter. I'm not
Nope.
breaking her anonymity.
That's
But
right.
she works over at the ranch, and so Margot wants me to go march over there and see what I can do over there. And so if I can at least get a volunteer position, I can survive for maybe another 2 months without any money other than Social Security coming in. And after that, I'll deplete all my resources and I'll start going in the hole. But
Mhm.
if I could get some hours volunteering, that would help too.
Well, that will help you your
Because
licensure,
any hours,
keeping it
because then when
valid.
I send you an application, I can say, well, I've
That's
put in
right.
10 hours or something. It's better than nothing, right? But
You're working
but
on it. That's all that matters.